Hi, and welcome back to Conversations. We're here with Mike Kim, and he's telling us about his story of helping refugees escape from North Korea into China. Now, we went through the more successful part of the journey that they take. Tell us what happens when they are actually captured, and what happens to them when they are returned to North Korea.
It's a very sad situation. To leave North Korea is considered treason, punishable by death. You are guaranteed to be sent to a gulag. You are guaranteed to be imprisoned, tortured, and possibly executed. So this is what happens to them. That is a certain fate. And those that are captured, leaving, trying to get to South Korea, it's one thing to be captured trying to get into China. Those that are captured trying to get to South Korea, that's another level of treason, and those people are almost certainly executed when they return or sentenced to life in a gulag. They'll have the most strict punishment. So it's unfortunate that these people have to risk everything for freedom. They make this call when they decide to make that journey and try to get to South Korea. They're deciding to risk everything for that dream to be free, fully free one day.
Now, I did read somewhere, and you correct me, some of them carry suicide pills.
I've heard of that. None of our people did, but I have heard that some will do that, or some will attempt suicide rather than to be captured and sent back. And although we haven't had anybody, I've had no personal experiences like that. I know that many, when they are captured, they have said that they would rather die than be sent back to North Korea, because certainly a gulag, torture, and execution awaits them.
Tell me a little bit about their prison conditions. And I know that they're horrific, terrible, but
Sure.
Give me a little insight on what that's like.
So in Escaping North Korea, in the book, I have a chapter on gulags, and I detail what it's like in there from my interviews and debriefings of North Koreans. And I've never been inside one, but it's as you would imagine any gulag to be, unsanitary, limited food, a lot of beatings. They're crowded into cells, and just one story I'll tell to illustrate is that they, some of the people, what they had to do in prisons, in these gulags, was to move big heavy stones from one end of the compound to the other. So they tell them, the guards would order them, okay, we'll move the stones from here to the other end of the compound. And then once they moved it over there, then they said, okay, now move it to the center. And then after they did that, then move these back and start all over again. And it reminded me of things I had learned in my history classes in undergrad about the Holocaust, how Jewish prisoners in concentration camps were ordered to do the same type of thing. And it was said that the Jewish prisoners would often die, not so much from the labor, but just the purposelessness of the work. And that was too much for them to handle. But that's going on in North Korean prisons.
And this is the same as a labor camp, or?
Right,
Okay.
Labor camp, concentration camps, that would be the most extreme versions.
Okay. And they're sent for life then. They have no opportunity to get out.
It depends what the crime is. Some say the North Koreans that leave China, get captured in China and sent back, if that's all that they were captured for, some say 6 months. It varies that they're put in prison. It depends on the level of their quote-unquote crime. If they were caught having contact with foreigners or with any type of religious institution, a church, then the punishment is much harsher.
And why is that?
They say one of the two questions they ask you when you return to North Korea. One, did you have any contact with foreigners? That's the first question when these refugees are repatriated to North Korea. And the second is, did you attend a church or any religious organization? And the reason being, North Korea is very sensitive to contact with foreigners, certain ones in particular, South Koreans, Japanese, the U.S., and churches. There's a real hatred for religion, and particularly Christianity. So people will be punished. Those people will be punished the most severely.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Right.
Let's talk about the fear that they have for South Koreans, I believe, and their hatred for Americans.
Sure, they are they're taught to fear and hate Americans the most. Then Japanese are probably next on the list. And South Koreans, I've tried to ask them to describe it to me. It's not so much a hatred as it is, these are our lost brethren that have been brainwashed by the U.S., and we need to do whatever we can to rescue them from U.S. occupation. So that's more their perspective of Koreans. The way North Korea operates is they got to have an enemy, and that enemy is Americans. So when I first met North Koreans, they would shake visibly. They would, when they found out I was an American from the U.S., they'd sit as far away from me as possible. And, for example, children are taught from a young age math, saying if I throw one grenade and I kill 2 Americans, and I throw another grenade and kill 4 Americans, how many did I kill? And it's this type of hatred.
That's their math.
That's how children are taught at a young age, arithmetic. And you can just imagine the way a society grows up, being educated from that young of an age to hate Americans and to fear them.
Are there any other ways that they are learning about Americans to hate them, actually?
My Taekwondo, North Korean Taekwondo instructor told me a story of how children, when he was growing up, during the winter they'd make snowmen, and they'd put one on that said USA in Korean and America, and then on the other snowman they put Japan, and they were all given sharp objects and different types of sharp objects, and this was part of class. Then the teacher would say attack, and they all attacked the snowmen. I mean, these are young children being taught. So there's multiple stories like that. There's a museum of hatred within North Korea, which is
a museum of
a
hatred.
museum informally called by people that have visited, a museum of hatred, which is just propaganda against the Americans, and it'll show U.S. soldiers killing North Korean babies. I mean, paintings and things like that they make up. And this type of mind control is on another level with North Korea. It's a sad problem. They don't know about the outside world, and Kim Jong-il has successfully controlled the minds, but many people are trying to get information into the North Koreans, and it's happening little by little.
Does this go back, this hatred, does this go back to the United States helping South Korea, or the Korean conflict?
Sure, yeah, it goes back to the Korean War when the U.S. backed South Korea. It goes to that and current U.S. presence in South Korea. Some say the moment the U.S. withdraws from South Korea, that North Korea will be invading South Korea. So there is this real hatred for America, for the U.S., and this feeling that the U.S. is protecting South Korea. And North Korea has a superior military to South Korea, so they're just waiting for the U.S. to leave so that they can control the peninsula.
Okay. We're going to come right back after we take a quick break, and we're going to finish up the conversation on North Korea. Really interesting. And we'll be right back in just a moment.